Welcome to the Two Steps Back podcast, the podcast that helps small business owners pause, reflect, and reset with purpose. I'm Dave Christie, and each week we take a look and a grounded look at what's really going on behind the scenes, because real progress doesn't come from doing more. It comes from getting clear. This week, for those of you that are very observant, you'll notice that I'm not alone in my podcast, and for the first time, and maybe not the last time, I'm joined by Penny. Penny, welcome.
Hi.
Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
I'm Penny Trotman from Vujade Accountancy, a different approach. So we're an accountancy firm.
Wonderful. And whereabouts are you based?
Nantwich, but we've got clients all over.
So we have known each other now for a while locally, and Penny has networking events as well as the business that you have as well, as do I. So we come across lots of businesses and lots of issues that are regional quite often. And for me, it's really important. And what we get from a lot of the people that listen to the podcast is understanding different people's perspectives of the reality of what's happening in the world. So it's not that Instagrammable, wonderful world that we kind of always see. Sometimes there's some difficulties, some hard times. And sharing a journey with somebody and asking questions around your journey as an example, and then sharing your perspective of what we're seeing out there at the moment, I think could be really useful for people. So I'm going to dive into a little bit more about your business in a minute. But I'm going to start you with a question. Obviously, it's a Two Steps Back podcast. We always talk about taking those 2 steps back out of your business, then out of your industry. What's one moment that you've had to take 2 steps back from your business?
I think it's the point where you decide, do you stay where you are or do you grow? And I think stepping back is a really useful thing to just overview everything. And decide, where do you want to go somewhere? Do you want to grow? What does that mean for you? What have you got to consider? And I think stepping back allows you to do that and make that decision rather than you kind of bumble along, particularly when you start up and you kind of go from one point to another point and you meet people, they take on different journeys. You maybe don't finish or you're not in a place where you thought you'd be or where you started from. So stepping back, I think, for me was that point where we'd set up, we'd got clients, it was all going well. And it comes to a point, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to grow further. Am I going to take that step back? And that's what you do. You step back. What do you need? Do I need staff? Do I need a premise? What resources do I need? Do I want? And kind of reviewing, I guess, what all that means to you and as an individual at that point.
And that's a lot to kind of unpack. And there's quite a few bits that sit within what you've talked about there. And you're coming from that place of experience, and you've been in business now for a number of years. I talk to clients and listen to clients, and I can articulate that in different ways. You're starting somewhere on that stepping back. So where do you start? I
guess for me, it comes down to numbers because of what I do. And can I afford it? But before then, I guess it's, what do I need? Why? What am I looking at? What's going well? What isn't going well? What am I struggling with? What's preventing me from doing my next step or going or choosing what I want to do? So it's a kind of a process, I think, of looking at your business and what's causing you pain, really. What's a point that's doing really well and you want to develop? What's causing you a headache because, I don't know, you can't get your head around socials or AI or something? And what's your workload? So for me, it was also, why did I set this business up to begin with? What did I want to get out of it? And what's most precious? And I think that comes down to time in the business, time out of the business. And so my first stepping back was really looking at staff. And I knew it wasn't just about me. I couldn't and didn't want to just do the journey on my own. I wanted to build a team. I wanted to have them to have the same ethos as me. And so stepping back really was a case of, okay, to do this work and to do what I wanted to do, I need other bodies. So that's what I did. And then from there it comes to, well, can I afford it? What does my numbers say? And I suppose because of the industry I'm in and what I do, that was the natural next stage to look at.
I think that how do I afford it piece is the stumbling block that a lot of businesses come across. We now, I think, are a bit more adaptive to, I do need that extra level of support. I do need to bring somebody in. But what and who is kind of where I come in as a coaching perspective as to where and then helping people understand that. But that it always comes down to that cost. I'm not earning enough money. I can quite happily talk to somebody and say, but actually the time that you save will mean that you'll be able to focus on the things that move the dial, and those are the things that only you can do. And in turn, that person will basically pay for themselves because of the space it allows. But it doesn't help the reality of, but my bank says no, or my mind says no. How do you must get that a lot. How do you work that with clients?
A lot. And sometimes you can. You just don't know you can. Sometimes I think it comes down to understanding your figures. What are you doing? What do you actually need before you even get out of bed? Both personally and also in your business. And looking at those figures, perhaps you're paying for something you don't even need anymore. It was something that was essential to begin with, but isn't now. Or could you be doing it more efficiently? Should you be going and getting other quotes? You know, are you having a service that actually doesn't work for you? I come across, clients who they've gone down a path and they're spending, I don't know, hundreds of months worth on Google Click because they think that's how they're going to get business. But it's not working for them. And it might be that they're not using it right and they need to speak to somebody to find that out. It could be they need somebody in-house. It could be that actually another area of the business needs it. So it might be that where their resources are currently going isn't necessarily where they should be. And so looking at the figures, understanding what they do, people can often find it without taking a step back financially themselves. It's really about understanding what their figures mean and what they need and really reviewing that, I think.
I think it's also the journey that they've been on and the information that they have as well.
Yeah.
I was with a client a couple of weeks ago and I was talking to them about a very similar thing around, I was helping them as almost like an interim GM kind of role. They were talking around let's have a look at all the expenditure that you're putting out. We talked about SEO and they said, oh, we're spending £1,500 a month on that. And I nearly fell off my chair. But they, from their perspective, they were told that to be optimal, they needed to be spending £3,000 plus. So for them, £1,500 was only a small drop in the ocean investment of what they had been told and what their beliefs were. Because we actually dialed it back to what it was bringing in. It wasn't returning.
Yeah.
And they hadn't done that because obviously the people that were doing the SEO were dressing the data in a way that would show them that it was being advantageous. So that's that probing that you're talking about, looking at what's paying off.
It's challenging. I think it's challenging them. It's challenging the client to their beliefs. It's challenging them what they see and what they know and actually what it means and helping them understand that so they can then make different decisions. They can go, well, actually, yeah, that's worth it. I want to do that. Or they go, well, no, let me change it up. Or, oh, okay, I didn't know there was a different route. So I think it's that conversation. It comes back to, for me, I think real conversations about where are you, both personally and professionally? What do you need the business to be doing? Where do you want it to be? It's looking back at the past. It's looking at where we are currently. And I think businesses need to look to the future as well. So all those three things matter. And if they look at them it's just like an isolation, I don't think it works. I think that a business, if they've taken that step back, they're looking at what they've done. Okay, so where have we been? What have we achieved? Where are we now? And where do we want to be? And then challenge themselves with all those questions about how that can then move them forward.
I like that process. I like that thought. We call it kind of becoming uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. It's difficult to have difficult conversations.
It's awkward.
We have to kind of come at that from a premise of, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And also the person on the other side of you is selling you a service they want you to take. But is it right for you? Just because we've seen it, or just because it resonates with us, or just because a friend, a colleague, a peer is using a service doesn't mean it's right for us.
No, and it might have been right at one point. Doesn't mean to say that it's always going to be right. And sometimes even changing it up can then give you a different perspective or a different outcome. I don't think there's any kind of hard and fast rules, and everybody's an individual. They're businesses. I think that's what's really important. You know, where you are on your journey, where somebody else is on their journey, could be the same industry, but it's different, and it's different for a whole host of reasons.
And that's where that whole being able to pause and reflect comes in, because actually if you're not tracking that, how will you see the difference? How will you see the impact? And I come across so many business owners that haven't got a handle on their finances. We went to an event recently where there was 50 shop owners from the health food industry. And I asked them how many people had a P&L. And even that phrase just went over people. And when I spoke to people in the break, a lot of people came up to me and said, I want to know my numbers, but I haven't got time to know my numbers. So my goal is to do better than last year. But how did you do last year? I didn't do too bad.
What does that even mean?
And that's where people are basing their numbers on or their decisions on. And actually it's being able, it feels like a bit of a backwards coming forwards piece of, well, I've actually got to stop, go backwards, understand what's worked and what hasn't to make the right decisions moving forward. Or there's nothing anchoring our decision. It's just, I go to an event, someone shows me something shiny and I look for it because as a business owner, I'm looking for the thing that's going to set my business on fire. It's going to push it forward. And sometimes that allows difficult decisions to be made because they're not being based on facts, they're being based off of nice to have.
Yeah. Or their friend told them.
Well, there's so much information out there at the moment,
is.
and it's even sometimes their friend hasn't told them. Sometimes their friend will tell them. The classic thing, and I think I've mentioned this before in here, is the mobile phone piece. If I ask you and I break my phone and I ask my friend, what mobile phone should I get? 99% of them will get their own phone. So it's mine, it's brilliant, it's got a really good camera and the sound on it's great, it's got a really big screen and it's really fast and it's really efficient and it does X, Y, and Z. Well, actually, that's not what we should be asking. The question should be, well, what do you use it for? Are you using it for vlogging or blogging? Are you using it for a camera? Are you using it to write emails with? If you've got fat thumbs like me and you need a bigger screen, are you putting it in a clutch bag when you go out in the evening? And then based off of those responses, here are the things that are right for you. But we very rarely take that time.
We do.
I'm just trying to create that more awareness around the benefits of slowing down sometimes to be able to then go better in the right direction. So I'm going to take you back to that moment that you took 2 steps back from your business. I'm going to take you back to the next stage of that. What did it you about you?
What did you? I think it taught me about me. We get stuck in doing the doing, and you get so much more from reflection and taking the time. I think taking the time to think is just as important as doing what you're doing. And you do get, I think when you set a new business up, when you're on that wheel, you want the customers in, you want to get the money in, you're focused on one thing whilst doing 100, because you've got that, I think you've said it, jack of all trades, you've got all those different hats on you, you know, you're doing everything. And when you're able to take that step back and just breathe, I think also it's a chance for you to reflect and actually be proud of where you've got to give yourself that little actual pat on the back and go, do you know what? I've done it. I'm here. This is working. We're moving in the right direction. It's a bit of self-reflection as well, going, okay, well, that hasn't worked and that hasn't worked. And if you've made it work, that you've got that resilience in you, that you've kind of pushed all that forward. And that those difficult times that inevitably are going to be ahead when you're running your own business, you're ready for. And you go, well, I've done that. The hard bit was getting started. You know, taking that first step, going, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to take that risk. And once you've done that, the journey is rewarding in itself. And I think reflecting back, you kind of think, okay, I did this. Perhaps even if you didn't say it out loud, there was always that little thing sitting on your shoulder going, or doubting or wondering, could you, will you, should you? So when you reflect on what you've done, it is that, I suppose, that little bit of, okay, actually, I can afford to pat myself on the back now and go, I've got this, I've achieved this so far. And then that gives you, I think, more excitement, more energy now to go forward and go, okay, now what? Now where are we going? Now is the direction. And then when you get to that next point, you look back and you see all the little dots that have joined those points, highs, lows. I think for me, that's what reflection has given.
I think it's also, and I love the little kind of give yourself a pat on the back thing as well. I talk about a to-do list as well as a to-do list. And I think that we don't celebrate those wins enough.
Don't.
And our own internal monologue, no, we wouldn't talk to anybody else like we talk to ourselves. And we need to change that. We need to own that. And coming back to your point, that challenge, that change is hard. You know, you talk about change and being able to adapt. That's difficult. We've got to push through. We call, I don't know if you know the 4 circles, but we'll have like a comfort zone that we all love to be in. Then we might dip our toe in the fear zone that sits around that. But that's difficult. And it's really easy to go back to the comfort zone because our brain tells us. I think Mel Robbins does the 5-second rule piece, which is like after 5 seconds, your brain will, if you don't do it within that 5 seconds, your brain will start to protect you. Or you shouldn't do that. Or no, don't do that. That's too much of a risk. And it'll talk you out of doing those. Because you are pushing yourself beyond where you can go, but your mind will give up way more than your body will.
Yeah.
So actually, it's around being able to push that and learn from it, and then mark it. So many people, I say, what got your business growth? I don't know, just good luck, and I did a few good things. And they can't pinpoint what it is to know, and then again, decision making is really difficult for small business. So if you're just doing some things and it tends to work, then great. But if you're saying, well, actually, I went from doing 3 posts a week to 4 posts a week, and I switched my wording from salesy to more information, and I got more engagement, then you can track that and you can do more of the things that work and less of the things that don't work. But we need to track those things at the same time. People say, I'm not a very analytical person, but I know there's a necessity for it to allow me to go and do the things that I want to go and do. So people say, well, you track a lot of stuff and you record a lot of stuff and So you're just one of those. And I'm like, I'm not that brainy. That allows me the freedom to go and do what I can do, knowing that I'm doing it based off of something.
Yeah. I mean, data's everything. And I kind of say that a lot to my clients. Once you've got that, you can then go, is it good or bad? Has it worked or not? But you do need that data, however that's going to come to you for your business. I think it's so important.
But also remembering, and something that we've touched on before, is that that's coming back at you. People are using your data on Facebook and social media to be able to sell back to you. How many times have you thought about something and it's suddenly an advert? They're using that data back at you. But so are people that are potentially selling to you. So coming back to people that have been disingenuously sold something, that going back to that company, they were shown data that said £3,000 is the minimum to get a return, and they thought they were scraping the barrel to get this £1,500. But that data set, when I look back at the deck, was aimed at companies that were like 250 staff and above. They've got 12 people. So it can also be cut in lots of different ways to tell lots of different stories. And I think we tend to see what we want to see as business owners, and there needs to be more of an awareness of, is that true?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Questioning.
And if it does sound too good to be true, probably is, because there's a lot of hard work that's involved in it. But actually it is questioning. We've just briefly come out of an AI conversation around, it's not always true. You need to go and double check things.
Yeah.
But you need to do that in all areas.
No, I agree. And particularly when it's your business, that's what's important. And it is, if you know it, as knowing your business, understanding your business, then you will drive it forward. If you can just let it evolve, maybe it will be down to luck. Maybe it will be done to A, B, or C. But I think the more you reflect, the more you understand, the more you look at your data and use that for you to make decisions for you, that's when it will grow. That's when you'll flourish. It's when you'll, improve, and you'll take it where you want it to be, not perhaps where it's just evolved or just happened to be.
And I think for people listening that are working with businesses that are in those stages as well, it's really interesting to understand how to approach them, to understand where some of their pain points are. A lot of people are coming out of the corporate world now because they have decided it's not for them and they want to start something up themselves. They've been really good at the thing they've done, but they've never run the business. They've never had these conversations, had to think about, where is the business coming from? When do I have to do my VAT returns? What do I have to do about PAYE? All the elements, how do I promote my business? So they're just being told stuff. And in a normal office environment, you're told stuff, you just do it. So actually, we have to understand that there is a new wave of new business owners coming out that need that extra level of support. And we need to understand, because we say things to people and just believe they're going to understand it. But if we don't check for understanding, I've mentioned it once, I've mentioned it many times, that whole phrase of, does that make sense? And everyone just says, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Any questions? No questions. And walk out and no one knows. I think you know, and you're going, I've no idea. No. But I just said yes because I don't want to look silly. So how do we get past that? How do you see ways of getting past that?
I think, particularly when I'm meeting new business owners or someone hasn't done this before, first of all, I take the stance they know nothing, because often they don't know what they don't know. So that's the first point. And second is, I always say to them, look, there are just no stupid questions. There's just nothing, even if it's a thought, I'd rather you say it, because the more information you give me, the more I can help you, the more I can give you advice, the more I can point you in the right direction. And again, it comes back to those conversations, but having the conversations that are open. Don't blind you with science. Don't talk gobbledygook words that mean everything to me because I'm an accountant, but absolutely nothing to someone who has no idea and have only ever picked up a paycheck. And it's breaking it down. And it might be that they can't take everything at day one. You don't expect them to. It's about bite-sized conversations. It's about, well, this is what you need now. Then when we get to the next point, we'll go into it a bit more. So don't blind them or overwhelm them. Have small conversations that deal with the now. Talk about the future, talk about where you're going, but don't give them the detail on that. Then I think they can go, okay, I've got that. I can do this. I'll go away and do this bit. And they know where to come when they've got that next question. Because inevitably, when we're doing something, we might go, okay, I've done that. Now what? And you might not need to know that at that point in time, but at some point, they know they can come back and ask you that question. So I think that's, again, open conversations, clear conversations, and nothing stupid. Just ask.
I like stupid. I think if you come from a place of thinking everybody is stupid, and not in a negative way, then you start to question things and you ask things. I like to think of the world. I do it very well, Penny. You'll notice this, that I act stupid as in the fact that if somebody's asks a question, I'll put a hand up because I want to know. I might know what I think it is, but I don't know what you think it is. And that might be different. So I'm always inquisitive, but lots of others people still aren't. But I think that being self-aware about asking questions and facilitating an environment where people can ask, because it's okay to say, no question's a silly question. Suddenly you don't go, brilliant. In that case, what's 1 and 1?
Yeah.
Like, because I still don't want to feel, I've still got that
Yeah.
within me that makes me that barrier, because I still don't want to feel stupid. So I tend to add that in with an anecdote or a story that says, oh, I was at somewhere recently and I asked this question and I couldn't believe it. I have people, we have a Wise Up Wednesday event, general true story, and I've had 2 people in the last 2 weeks ask me what day of the week it's on. Now, we would assume people would understand, but then we can go and we can smile at that because we think, well, what else? What other day would Wise Up Wednesday be on? But the reality is different people don't think that.
No.
So we have to ensure that people understand, because I've just assumed everyone understands, but they don't.
No, and I think that's it, isn't it? It's our assumptions. We make assumptions, don't we, as humans, based on our own experiences, and everybody's different. Everyone comes from a different perspective or different understanding or different experience, and so therefore you have to deal with them on that one-to-one level, so they can, you know, talk about whatever is relevant to them and their business. And again, I call it organic. It changes, you know, over time from that starting point to when they get going, to when they've got a problem, to when they've got a win. It's different all the time. So those conversations have to keep happening regularly and often. And then again, I think it pushes people forward. It supports them. Being available for support, being available for advice, particularly for young, new businesses, people that perhaps, like I say, have come from corporate world, don't have any idea, know a bit, think they know something, somebody's told them something, they've researched something, but actually they don't feel sure, they're not confident. It's almost about holding their hands, helping them through it, really kind of connecting with them. So you are that point of reference where they can just ask that question that, I don't know, might have popped up to them at 10 o'clock at night when they've gone to bed and suddenly were reviewing their day in their head, that they can come and ask that and support them with it, I think is really important.
I think it's understanding the level of intimidation that it can be with going into a room or talking to somebody that's an established business owner that's been doing it for a number of years, that at least on the surface looks confident and competent. How do you approach them? You have people that very much own rooms and you can just see that they use it. They might not, by the way. It doesn't mean that they do, and it doesn't mean that they're not putting on a show for the room. But I think there's also that reality check, and I know that people that listen to this sometimes will talk around and come up to me and ask me around, but that's great, Dave, but you've been in business for a long period of time, so you've got it all worked out. Oh, no, I haven't. I absolutely haven't. We make mistakes all the time. I make mistakes all the time, different decisions. We try things, we don't try things. And I think that needs to be addressed at the same time that you talked about earlier on. There will be problems. There will be mistakes. You will make wrong decisions. And the resilience to be able to learn from them, adapt from them and move on is powerful. So what's something you're still figuring out?
I'm forever figuring out my finances and making them work for me. And what does my business need? And where am I going? It's just a constant journey. I'm always figuring things out. I don't think that ever stops. There's no end. I don't know, you've reached the end of the rainbow and there's the answers and the business is great and everything else. It's just a journey. And one failure or something that goes wrong, okay, that's fine. You know, that hasn't worked. Why hasn't it worked? You can, you know, I think you end up then the next time you do it, it does work and it works better because you've had that thing go wrong. It's not a negative, the failures. They're just part of the process. And I think part of the process is part of the journey. You have to embrace it, I think. And I hope that the clients we work with feel that they can come through that door and ask the questions at any point in time. To be available or to be open, I think is really important. So if someone is feeling underconfident, the aim really is to work with them so that it gives them confidence to the level that they want. You know, some people want to really know their finances, for example, in in-depth detail, you know, each day, each week. What does it mean? Where's this going? Other people just want an overview or go, well, okay, this month, where am I? Or what does this mean for me? What have I done? Sometimes people see it as a barometer of what they have done in the past. And that's how they view it. So it's really, I think, working with the way someone wants to work and what works for them, but also give them the tools. If they want to go further, they can do. If they want to understand more, they can. And taking it from that way, I think.
Failing is definitely part of the journey. And I always say to people, if you're not failing, you're trying. So you're sitting right back in that comfort zone again. And if you're not trying, you're staying the same. And if you're staying the same, you're actually going backwards because everyone else is coming, failing. And if you stop and wait for that perfect moment, that perfect piece, rather than you fail forwards all the time, you'll end up way behind everybody else. I think it's Warren Buffett is a bigger. Do you know Warren Buffett? For those that don't know him, he's a big American investor, probably one of the most successful there's ever been. He invested in a lot of boring companies, a lot of laundromats and some of the more boring industries, and was patient about what he did. He knew that there was no win today, and he was very patient in his investments. But when he got to a certain stage and he'd bring in entrepreneurs and people that had run businesses, one of the criteria was that you had to have failed 2 businesses for him even to think that you'd start to understand business. Because in America, the outset's really different to the UK. In America, you fail a business and they're like, oh no, what are you going to do next then? What business are you doing next? What have you learned from that? What are you going to take forward into the next business? And it's not like that here in the UK. And we're surrounded by people who are already, come and get a real job, come back to the real world, because they're a little bit jealous of what you're doing. So when you do fail and inevitably fail or have a hard day or come across hard times, the circle you're with, the friendship circle outside of your peer circle is kind of going, yeah, come back. It is hard. It is tough. I told you I told you it was too hard. I told you. We don't encourage people to fail. We don't create environments for people to learn and fail, because there's a little element of a lot of people, maybe subconsciously, that really wish that they could have probably do what you're doing, and they're not brave enough. So if you succeed, that means that they probably could have done it. That makes them feel bad themselves.
It does take courage.
Huge.
It does. And I think we have to celebrate that. I mean, you can look around. There's lots of businesses owners who are extremely wealthy and done really well, and all of them will have failed businesses behind them, or failed elements, or things that haven't worked and they've gone in a different direction. And it is just part of it all, I think. But I think if you've got the tools and support and the people around you who can help you with that, who you can go to for advice, who you can chat to about an issue or a problem, or something that is just even maybe bothering you, you're not even sure what that might be, then those gives you the support. That's the support in itself, and the tools, I think, to drive your business forward.
A lot of that's mindset. What will people think if I fail? What will people think if I make a mistake? We still do that. We still get dressed in the morning and think, well, what will people think about me? Do I look big in this? Do I look, my hair look right? What will people think about this combo thing? Because the reality is, and it's a little harsh, but you're not that important. Because everyone's thinking about what?
Yeah.
Themselves and their own bubble and whatever they're thinking. So actually, a lot of the time we talk ourselves into doing or not doing things based off what we think other people will feel. I've definitely failed in elements of business. And yes, I absolutely have at the moment and in the moment have thought, how will this impact my business? What will people think about me? What will people think about me as a business person? Will they trust me again? Can I do anything like this again? Yeah. Can I walk into that room again and have that conversation with those people?
Self-reflection's terrible, isn't it?
It is. But on the other side, you've survived 100% of the days that you've had so far. Nothing's happened. So the reality is, again, no one's actually that bothered. And actually, the people that matter don't mind. The people that mind don't matter.
Absolutely.
And you'll soon start to see, and I always refer back to the game of Guess Who, about who your people are. When you're having that tough time and you're in difficulty, who are the people that stand by you? Who are the people that offer that support? Who are the people that facilitate space for you to have your moment, but also to push you to continue? And who are the ones that are trying to stop you? You'll soon start to see who the people are that you need in the room. But the reality is, we've been back in those rooms. We go back and talk to those people. And it's all about your mindset of, yeah, that was absolutely, it's not like anything else. It's like getting a test wrong at school. I had my GCSEs. I'll tell you now, didn't do particularly well. It wasn't for me, school and the way it was done. I was dyslexic. It didn't work for me. So I played the class clown to try and hide it. Clearly not very well. But it hasn't stopped me. I could go, well, I didn't get GCSEs, so I can't go to this, or I couldn't do that. There's always a way. I mean, I don't know actually anyone that's ever asked me for my GCSE certificates to quantify my selection, but I don't know. So that leads me to my last question then with you, which is, what's the advice that you wish someone had told you when you were in the early days? And I'm going to push you further, not around finance or numbers.
That's a really difficult one. To believe in myself, because I think the thing that holds me back the most is belief in myself. I did it out of necessity. I did it out because of the situation I was in. I did it because I had to. In my head, I probably had other choices, and people did ask me, oh, why haven't you just gone and got a job? I decided that the risks outweighed. It was better to do my own business, to start again. And I suppose other people around me did tell me, believe in yourself. But even now, having conversations with some of those people, they admit they had their doubts, and they didn't think certain areas that I've done okay in, I've probably done all right in, not to do with the finance, but to do with setting up the business, to do with getting clients, to speaking to clients, which I hadn't done a lot of. I'd done, but under various guises before. And actually, I'm okay at doing that. It works. I can talk to people. Clients come in and we have proper conversations, and they come out. And one said to me a couple of days ago, actually, she said, oh, I've learned more in the last 5 minutes than I have the whole 5 years I've been somewhere else, because you've just made it clear. And I think it's someone had told me more, believe in yourself more, maybe I would have done. I walked around with a lot of doubt and probably just was doing things because I felt it was necessary. I needed to. I had to get food on the table. I had to pay my bills. This is what I had to do. And I think you still picked up, even though people said I could do it and I'd be good and everything else. Having those conversations now, they did have their doubts, and perhaps those slightly shined through in those conversations I had with them, or I just looked for it in my head. Because again, I think it's a lot of what goes in our head and our mindset talks louder sometimes than actually what the truth is. So that's probably it, I think.
Thank you for sharing that. So just one thing you picked up on there about people doubting you and stuff. What is the one thing that people get wrong about you?
It was just a conversation I had with a couple of people, and one person particularly who was surprised that I was doing so well so quickly. And they were saying it from a nice place. They were pleased I was doing great, but they had wondered whether, what that journey would be and whether I'd be able to achieve it, because I think they'd never seen me in that sort of facing role, kind of facing clients day to day, being the face of the company, having it as just my vision, as just what I wanted to do and wanted to achieve and where I wanted to take things. They felt I could do they knew I'd be great and fine at doing all the other stuff, the day-to-day stuff, the doing as such. But I think they were surprised that I was able to develop the business and the company and the ethos and talk to clients and, I suppose, get my vision over to the clients so they came and joined us. That's what they doubted. They doubted I could do that.
Did you?
Yes. It was, I was like, I can do this, I can do that, that's fine. I can do all that. Yeah. It was the comfort coming out that comfort zone, because I'd done it, but I'd been prevented from doing it in various ways. And to do that, just you on your own, single person, that step, it's just your voice. There's nobody. And there's also no one to bounce ideas off of. There's no one to check. If I say this, what do you think? If I do this, what do you think? If I present it in that way, there's no other person when you're a sole business owner, when you're starting out, to have those conversations with. So yeah, the voices in your head tend to be slightly louder, I think. Your self-doubts probably more prevalent at that point.
Yeah, it is very lonely at the beginning. It can be lonely at lots of times, to be fair. I think that sometimes you can still feel lonely. You've got to have all the answers. You sometimes can't or don't want to. We walk into lots of rooms and to put this persona on. I find it interesting sometimes to watch, because we're all in a room, a networking room as an example, which means we're all looking for. We all stand up and then say how wonderful our business is and how wonderful it's going. But it's not necessarily, because if it was, then we wouldn't necessarily need those more. We wouldn't need to be in those. I don't see the CEO of Nike sitting in a networking event, standing up and doing a conversation about the trainers or the tops they're doing. So actually, we're all in there together. We are all in it together. And that realization of that there is something behind the mask, there is something behind the person that's standing there and trying to be that authentic person, I think enables us in conversations like this to try and show others that there's a way through some areas. And whilst there's ups and downs, you've talked about it there, it's about the journey, about sharing, it's about the fact that you can't do the journey on your own, but it's also knowing you and your own business a little bit as well, and having those markers in place that you've spoken around to kind of to track that.
Yeah. And I think those networking events, I think they can give you that as well. You can go, I think, with the view to create your own business community, to form friendships if you can, alliances, people that you trust and trust you. And can often, you learn as well, I think, from those, what other businesses are doing, how they're acting, what's working for them. You know, people will often in conversations come up with things that they're doing, and they might think, oh yeah, that might work for me, or that's an interesting thing, I haven't heard of that before. And earlier in the AI meeting, I think one of the people was talking about Zapier, which had come across with clients, but they'd mentioned it in a way they were using it. And I was thinking, I wonder if that'd work for me actually. So I think, you know, sometimes those events can give you a little bit of that back as well.
And that rather than that one perspective of, I believe you should use this, give an example, as you said there, giving an example of how somebody else was using it will enable somebody to then do that little guess who moment and see if it was right or wrong for their business. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. Maybe not the last time.
Maybe not.
And I think it's something that I said when I've talked before, when we get a lot of feedback from this, is getting that different perspective on those kind of challenges that are going out there. We listen to a lot of people to sort of be able to bring those challenges back to people, share different opinions, different thoughts to help people on their journey. I think is vitally important. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Do appreciate it. And thank you for listening to the Two Steps Back podcast. If this episode has helped you feel a bit lighter, a bit more capable, share it with someone that may be quietly holding too much back. Share it and let's take people on the journey together. And if you're ready for some weekly structure, honest check-ins and zero shame, then join us at the Flourish Foundry or CheshireBusinessCoaching.com, and we'll keep you accountable and we'll be your peer partner on your journey, because clarity beats chaos. Sometimes the best move isn't a leap forward, it's 2 steps back. See you next time.